this down. Christoph Glass is here. That means we are live. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
Hello, guys. Mike Sproul says hi. So, you're talking...
Mike.
I was listening to the Pink Floyd because I'm thinking I'm doing a TV review show with a friend of mine now about the show The Leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost over. And after that, everyone's asking about your 10 albums that made you, right? I'm do one about that. And I'm definitely thinking about doing Animals as one of them. You know what I mean?
It's I think that one is overlooked.
It's overlooked.
It's one of my favorite. Yeah. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Everybody always relies on The Wall. The Wall's great.
Wall and Dark Side. And I love those things. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like...
Classic.
I'm like, Wish You Were Here, and I'm like, Animals. I love Animals.
Yeah. Animals is the best. Wait, what is your favorite Pink Floyd jam?
Like, period? Like, all time?
What is the song that you're like, yes, this is my jam?
I mean, it's horrible. It's not deep cutty at all. It's like the live Pulse, Comfortably Numb.
The live whole Pulse album is the best. I remember when I first got the 2 discs, I got it on discs and it had the cool cover with the lights.
Yeah, the light on it, yeah. I had the cassette of that, and I had the CD of that, and I got the DVD re-release, and they just remastered it and put it out. They actually put it live for people on YouTube, like the recut.
Nice.
And I got to see David Gilmour twice.
Really?
Yeah, at Radio City Music Hall once, and he did Echoes, and it blew my mind.
I've never seen Pink Floyd. Yeah. I've seen a lot of bands, but I've never had the chance.
I've seen them separately. I've seen Roger Waters tour with Nick Mason, I think, and I've seen David Gilmour with Richard Wright.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But no one wants to hear about that stuff. We're here live on the Lunchtime AMA, Country Live. I'm your community manager. We do have some people with us. We have Richard Dean is with us. Steiner is here. Ethan Ross, he's our coolest member. He's from Canada. He's pretty young, but he's got the
Canada, the nicest people in the world, eh?
Yeah, he's got the fishers in the hands.
Oh, nice.
All the fishers, the constant. They're constantly moving. I'm in a meeting with Aaron the other day, right? And we're having a work meeting, and he puts the camera down and starts doing the card thing. How's this look? I'm like, come on, man, never goes away, right? Christopher Harrop is here from Liverpool.
Hey.
Noel is here from California. So people came. That's great.
Cool.
Cool.
Hello, everyone.
So Jason Dean is here. Jason is a magician and a musician. He's a fan. I'm going to call you a fan favorite. It's a little blow and smoke, but like after the first time we met, people really...
You're making me blush.
Yeah, people really, really want to see you again, so we met you again. I met you for the first time a couple years ago, and you're one of these names I've heard. Like I've said this before, I've talked to Alex and Adam. I met Adam and Lee Asher very early in my brother's life and my brother meeting them. Everybody else is kind of like newish to me. Like I've heard about Alex for years, and I've heard about you, but I only met you recently a couple years ago.
Hanging with Aaron a lot. He brought you up quite a bit, especially because we have the music backgrounds going.
Oh yeah, and one of these days we're gonna get someone that doesn't have a music background. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but until then, we do have a music background. You're a drummer.
Yep.
Which I guess is a kind of a musician. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, we got to keep the rest of you on time.
I tried to be a drummer. That's why I say that, And my favorite drummer, Keith Moon, wasn't really a timekeeper.
Wild man.
Yeah. So I guess I want to start there because I want to know what was first for you. Was it music or magic?
I remember really young seeing like magic shows and, parents having taken me to like work events and there'd be a magician there and it would just blow my mind. I would always be intrigued with finding mystery like that. But I never did get into magic till later. I started playing drums before magic. Magic came along because I was playing so much drums that the parents needed a break. And they're like, please, for the love of God, will you be quiet and find something else to do? And I had already, this fascination with watching magicians. I had no idea you could learn a magic trick. So the library was just, I grabbed everything, every kind of book you can possibly think of. And it began.
Right. So, before that, then let's go back to the music thing, the drumming thing. How early did that start?
I have photos of me on a plastic J.C. Penney's kit, and I was maybe 3. The
and were
earliest.
You holding it down at that time?
Yeah, I was getting them gigs.
Because I see these kids on YouTube now. This lady posted a video of her 8-year-old daughter, and she's playing along with Lithium, right?
Yeah.
Lithium, and I don't understand.
They're phenomenal. No, I was not gifted and such. I was horrible. I worked hard to at least get a little bit, and I think at 11 is when I got serious, start taking drum lessons, and it got my real first professional drum set gifted to me by my dad and my uncle, and real nice Gretsch maple kit,
right? Some
rototoms,
right? But you're at the beginning of Time, right? Pink Floyd, Time. Those are rototoms,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Bloop, bloop. Yep. Totally.
Yeah. Useless knowledge that I have.
Everybody's like, "What the hell is happening right now?"
Listen, I worked at a music store for 7 years, so I was watching a video. I did some Sidewise. Sidewise is a band you're in. I did some Sidewise deep diving last night because I was looking for some ballads, so I wanted to find Sidewise, and there weren't any.
How'd that work?
It worked great to watch you drum. You were outside some festival, and I heard you playing to a 9 Inch Nails song.
Yeah, we had a cover.
Yeah, but I was watching you play at this outside festival, and a bunch of people, and it's a really good shot of the side of you. And I looked at all the drums, and it took me back to my big box music sales days, and it just looked like a bunch of work because of the setup. You know what I mean?
Well, it looks like there's a lot there, but there's a science behind it. At the time, I had a drum tech, so he would tear it down, set it up for me exactly the way I wanted it.
Right.
And on tour, you want to get on and off the stage as fast as possible. So it cannot be tear it down to the tiniest bolt. So we had it worked out to where it came apart in 3 sections. So it looks like there's a lot there, but there's 3 chunks that make up the whole. So you could just walk up and grab each chunk and just remove it and then completely strip it down to its bare minimum off stage. Right. So there, you're looking at it, looks like there's a lot there, but there's a science behind it.
So many stands. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we will lose people. We keep talking about that for sure. Okay. So you're 11 when you're playing the drums.
Yeah.
So when do the parents need a break and start buying you cards instead? How old?
I don't think, the parents were just like, man, what else you got going on? Cause I was eating, drinking, sleeping. Whenever I'd have dinner made for me, I would never eat at the table. I'd always bring my plate of food back to my drums, sit it down on there. I'd have the radio playing next to me. I'd eat and then start playing. And parents were like, do you have anything else you're interested in? We think it would be healthy. So
for them.
Yeah, at that point, I referenced back to, I've always been into books, even if it wasn't magic. But I was gifted magic books even from my grandfather. I think it was 100 Tricks by Howard Thurston. I don't remember really going through it and studying it, but I'd run through there and I'd see something cool and, I would learn it real quick. But my study in magic didn't begin till I realized, like, man, I want to make money at this. I want to do this. I want to really impress people.
So how old were you when that happened, and where were you exactly? Because I'm really trying to get the timeline between the music and the magic.
Sure. At 11 years old, I picked up the drums, and then probably right soon after, I was dabbling with magic, and I didn't really get serious as far as like studying and understanding what I'm doing till I was probably 18.
Okay.
Because at that moment, you know, parents were like, hey, you need to get a job. And I'm just like, no, what are you talking about? And my cousin at the time was like, man, I can get you parties. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you can do this thing in someone's backyard or in their house and do it for them, and I'll get you money for it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So he became like, you know, oh, this is my manager. He's getting me gigs, and I'll give him $25 off of each one he booked me. And so it began right around 18. I was getting shows in backyards and, you know, just private home stuff. And it really hit hard. Like, I started studying, but it really hit hard when I was 21, because I started to be able to get into like bars, and people were taking me more serious and not just a kid trying to get a magic show.
Right.
They're like, oh, real entertainment.
And, you know, just really quick, through those backyard shows you were doing, they were walk around and like performance, or just like?
They were like a stand-up, close up. And the only reason why I say close up, because there may have been like 6 or 7 people there.
Right.
And, you know, I'd just stand out back. And sometimes there'd be so little people there, they could just gather around a picnic table, and I'd stand at the picnic table. And I wasn't professionally in the sense of like working out tricks and the script and all that. So it was kind of like, showed up and just did what I knew, and went from there. And I didn't really give any thought to it like that yet.
Right. But do you remember any of the things you performed in those days? Do you remember what your little 8-trick set was or whatever?
I have one thing I can remember in particular, nothing right off the top of my head, but one thing, because I vowed to never do it again.
Okay.
It was bad.
You're not going to tell us what?
I'll tell you.
I promise not to say, I promise not to say the words after it.
It's kind of weird.
Okay.
So is everyone familiar with the bat? It's a gimmick similar to the Raven. It's a magic prop. It's a magnet. And with the Raven, it's attached to a pole. This one is just a magnet clip.
Okay.
The bat. So at the time, I had my nipples pierced.
Oh, okay.
And I would take this magnet and I would clip it to the nipple earring. Okay. So it would just dangle on it underneath my shirt.
Right.
And what that was for is I would borrow a watch.
Yeah.
This is at the time before everything got cool and Apple Watch and digital.
Right.
So I'd borrow a watch and I'd hold it on each end, have them look at it, have them pay attention to the second hand. It's moving. And I bring it close to blow on it, but I brought it close to that magnet on my chest, and it would stop the second hand from moving when I blew on it. Ta-da. And then I would say, you blow on it. And I'd, you know, it would get closer to their face, and they would blow on it, and it would start. This was something I was doing all the time. Well, as I was getting deeper into magic, I was getting nicer shows, still learning what it was like to be a professional as far as scripting and just how to handle your audience. There's one gentleman I was doing magic to, he handed me his Rolex, and I did it to his Rolex. Well, when he went to blow on it, the second hand did not start back up. I don't know how much at the time, I'm 18, 19 years old. I don't know how much Rolexes are, but I've heard they're a lot.
Right.
I'm freaking out.
Right.
And so I'm doing everything in my, it's going to start up. I'm talking to myself in my head. I take it. I said, let me blow on it. And it doesn't start. Here, you try one more time. I'm just trying to waste time. I said, I know what it is. You take it. You blow on it. And I gave him some excuse. And I remember I walked away to another group and started doing magic. And I'm sweating, don't know what I'm going to do. And finally, the gentleman come over to join the group saying, yeah, it started. We're doing a little research. Rolexes, the insides of them act different than just your standard watch. You have to wind them. There's all sorts of gears going on. Well, when it got magnetized, you have to rewind it to get it going again. But after that, I was like, I'll never take a chance like that ever again. I threw it away and never picked it up again. But that was my first scare moment of, not understanding like scary things like that can happen. Almost, I had to pay $1,000 for this guy's watch, and I wasn't even getting a quarter of that at this gig.
You had to pay for the watch? It broke the watch?
No.
Okay.
I in my head, I'm freaking out, like thinking these things like, man, what?
And I'm led to believe that if you have $1,000 Rolex, you don't have a Rolex.
It taught me how to watch how my words and the tricks that I do. I don't mess with tricks where I borrow jewelry, and if I do, it's nothing aggressive. I mean, like
right.
People do ring flight. My buddy did it, and the thing zipped around his back and shot the ring, across the way. Like, no way, I can't do it.
Right.
You do these things enough, eventually something bad's gonna happen. The odds are bound to happen.
And at some point, those things are necessary, though, right? Just as far as performance and being able to think quick on your feet. I mean, not to the point where you have to buy people stuff because you broke it.
Yeah, I think everything you do, if it's good or bad, is a great learning experience, because I learned not to never borrow a watch ever again.
Right.
And my career has been great since then.
And it was just a question of it needed to be wound, you said, right?
It needed to be wound, and I think when he was off on his own, he kind of twisted a little bit, and it got it kick-started.
Yeah.
But, after that, once I started explaining to other magician friends who are, into it way longer than I, telling them my horror story, all of a sudden I started hearing everyone else's horror stories. I'm like, holy crap, these things exist.
Sure.
Think a little, I'm going to think twice about what I perform now.
Do you have a music equivalent of that experience?
It's different.
Yeah.
Music, it's like, it's such an adrenaline rush, especially when you get in front of people. You almost are willing to take a chance. I guess it's kind of Vernon-esque, meaning Vernon would take chances. You would hear these stories, but one day it's going to hit, and that one hit's going to create a story that will resonate and live through lifetime. Like, he would just flash the bottom of the card. He wouldn't even say anything. He just casually flash it and set it there, and then ask you later in time to name a card, in hopes that that card that just flashed by you would resonate. One day you'll get a hit, but he was known for doing that type of magic. Same thing with music. Sometimes, I'm a drummer. I'm in the back. I don't get to run around stage and have all this fun like everybody else. So I throw my head around, and I like throwing my sticks around. And you're taking a chance every time and
right.
hoping that it comes back to your hand and you can continue with keeping the train on its tracks. But there's this sense of excitement, and you take the chance every time. I guess it could be translated to magic, Once you get in a comfortable zone, sometimes you get these feelings where you can just do anything, and whatever it is you do works. Name a card, and you just have it in your pocket already. You just feel things. I guess it does kind of translate to music if you think about it. I've never pieced them together.
Well, I'm going to get into that in a minute, because I got a whole thing. For that. But, the coolest thing in the world is seeing a drummer throw the sticks, catch it, and hit the beat. But the second coolest thing is seeing him miss it and then pull out a stick from the sheath. You know.
Yeah,
So
how they dance.
I think those things are cool too. Like, ooh.
Well, that's the same thing with magic and music. I would love seeing my, people that I really admire, my heroes, perform for real people because they have the chance of it not going right. And I would wait for those moments because I would love to see how they worked it. How did you get out of that? What would you have done? And sometimes it's awesome just seeing someone you admire just bomb and they look at you and, they give you a wink because there's nothing they can do. You just accept it. So you learn how to accept failure. I mean, failures can be your worst enemy or you can embrace it and learn from it.
I do try to ask people about their influences. And since you mentioned seeing people that, you really like and admire bomb, I don't need to know who bombed. You can tell me that if you want to. But I am interested in, magical influences. Who are yours, like your biggest ones?
I've never had, there's never been one guy, and I've obviously Juan Tamariz. He's just a never-ending vessel of information. I'm still trying to catch up, reading old stuff, and he's still putting stuff out. Juan is definitely one. I mean, Aaron is my friend, but before he was my friend, I studied Aaron's work, and even now I still study it. I admire Aaron and his approach to card magic. I've told him, and I'll never be quiet about this, what I imagine card magic to look like as a young man is what I see when I see Aaron doing magic. I see him do things, and I go, yeah, it just hits me different. I go, I just know that's what it was supposed to look like. So Aaron was a big influence. Lee Asher, big influence.
Well,
those are my top three right there.
Well, I saw you guys interact the first time, and it totally became a situation where we were at, where you guys became almost like camp counselors.
Yeah.
To everyone else, but you guys were the counselors off on the side. Still doing magic. I saw Aaron doing something with his hand, and you and Lee looking over his shoulder, and it was just mind blowing that I could see the connection with you guys right there and that. So since we are moving around to that, how did you meet? Because I've asked Aaron. I talked to him before we did this just to get some background from him, and he can't remember a time when he didn't know you. So,
it was probably because it was nonchalant.
Right. So when did you guys meet?
I can't give you an exact year. I'd have to think about it. I can't give you an exact year right off the top of my head. But it's had to be at least over 20 years. 20 years ago. I set up a lecture tour for Lee Asher and for a couple weeks. Well, Lee's, been best friends with Aaron since forever. And
since Moses wore short pants.
What's that?
Since Moses wore short pants.
That's right.
Right.
And I believe Aaron was interested in doing some lecture work, and Lee said, get a hold of me. And one day, randomly, I just got a phone call from Aaron. Hello? Yeah, this is Jason. Aaron Fisher? Yeah, I got your book. and that's kind of where it went. I was more shocked because, again, I didn't know Aaron. I was studying his work, and now I have this man calling me. So it's very wow, this is very cool. Like, this guy studies work. He has great thoughts on magic. His book has been a huge influence. So it was really amazing to make the connection with Aaron.
And was he just calling you because Lee said you should call Jason because you guys would get along, kind of thing, or?
Well, he was looking for someone to set him up a lecture tour, and he approached me, and through that I set up Aaron a lecture tour. We're out on the road, and Aaron said, "Hey, do you want to just hang and roll with me?" So I traveled with Aaron on this lecture tour, and because every night we're staying in a hotel, traveling together, we got to know each other and hang, and we had lot of love for magic, and just we connected, and it was just been a good hang. He's been more than a brother to me for the last 20 years.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I also spoke to him, and I don't know if this was the trip he was talking about, but he mentioned you guys went to Spain together.
Yeah, that was a trip. That was a blast. So Aaron set up a trip in Spain, a lecture tour, and then he hit me up. He goes, "Hey, do you want to go?" It's like, wow, man, I've been to like Cancun. That's as far as I've been. I've been to Canada, as far as I've been out of the country.
Right.
So it was an interesting thing. Almost didn't go, but it all worked out. We went to Spain. It was amazing. It was a great time. We hunted down Juan, went and saw Juan do his show in his language. It hits different, hits harder. It was an amazing experience. Good times.
Nice. Yeah, I have also traveled with him on lecture tour, and it was very small. It was Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It was like Pittsburgh to Baltimore to like somewhere else in the middle, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and interesting times. Interesting times. I was selling his merch and stuff, and it was the first time.
Yeah. It was hilarious. It was nothing but laughs because we're obviously in a different country. Aaron knew enough Spanish to get us by, and we were totally relying on Aaron. But it was just fun. We got really close because we're just together every day in a different country. You rely on just feeling home from each other, and you in foreign beds over in Spain in hotels, it's like one queen, and you're supposed to just sleep together. So we were bunking up. It was like we were kids traveling around, just having a blast.
Raise your hand if you're in this meeting, this talk, and you slept in the same bed as Aaron Fisher.
Oh, you did. Of course.
Yeah.
Then you probably have the real dirt. We won't say nothing, Aaron. We'll be nice.
I think we were like 10 and 13, so no. I'm going to go to our questions now because we do have a couple technical magic things.
Sweet.
Get back into the round robin of it all. Richard always asks, what is your desert island magic book?
Ooh. Man, these questions are so hard. A lot of it depends on mood.
Like music.
Like today I feel like this book. Tomorrow it will be this book. But right now, the mood I am in, I can always come back to this book and just feel good and find something new, is Expert Card Technique by Hugert and Browie. That was my first real serious magic book, and it still hits me just as hard.
Okay. And when did you get that? Like, when's the first time you got that book?
At the library when I had to be maybe 12 or 13. I got it from the library and it never went back.
All right. It's one of those, yeah. Yeah, totally.
I was like 12 or 13, and it was actually almost caused me to quit magic. I'm reading it and it's just over my head, intense stuff. And then later on, I was able to come back to it and understand what was going on. It changed everything.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because this, Daniel Rifkin asked about the psychological force. So I think that goes into the story I'm about to tell you and what you mentioned before about Vernon. I think it'll all come together.
Yeah.
Because I've been working here for a little while, and so I started to play with some cards for a little bit, and I started to get into different colored bicycles, right? And people have heard me tell this story before because I was shocked that you get, I got these nice turquoise cards. They're my favorite kind, right?
Yeah.
I was like, bicycle sells turquoise. I'm going to buy a lot. And I'll need them forever, and they've all been opened. And it comes with this card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that card. It's one of my favorite gaps ever.
And it comes in almost every deck of bicycles, I think, right?
I don't know if that gap particularly comes with a normal deck, but if you get any kind of like a multi-gap deck, that one you will find in there.
And
you can buy a whole deck of those double red blue double backers for like $5-6. Yeah.
But this is turquoise and fuchsia. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, that one you gotta get them cards.
And so I started practicing a little bit, and this was about a year ago. And you know, Aaron's always like, "Come to me if you have," even though I'm a little intimidated asking him for magic stuff, which is weird. But he's like, "Come to me. I'm easy." I'm like, "Okay." And so I watch a lot of Alex on our group, right? I watch a lot of Alex Slumber do stuff. And so I tell Aaron, I'm like, "Did you know that these come with these?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he said, "If you want to do a trick with that, go look at Jason Dean's Free Will. You should be able to do it. I'll talk to you later." And I said, "Okay, great." So I sit down with my deck pad, and I'm looking at I will choose Free Will. And I'm thinking in a really high-pitched screaming bassist voice, I will choose Free Will. And
I will choose Free Will.
It becomes very evident to me very quickly that I am not at a place he thinks I am at with the card. And so then does it not become me trying to do the trick? It becomes me listing all the moves that are in the trick to start to try to take them down one by one. And I quit just like you did with the book. I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'll go back to watching Alex's Miracle Force formula. But there is one thing in there, and I'm not even going to attempt to do it, but I think it has to do with the psychological force that I picked.
Yes, it would dabble in the realm of forces more than psychological. First off, I can't believe Aaron recommended you should have that trick, because this one will make you work. And in the sense of brain power.
Right.
It really is only in the effect there is two different forces, and possibly a double left. Maybe. There's contingencies. There's different paths that this effect can take. But the meat of it is this force that, I don't know. I'd be interested in knowing what everybody else thinks, if this would dabble in the reign of like psychological, but it gives that feeling like they just thought of a card. And I did a little bit of history on this, and I'll show you the force and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay. And it looks like this. I'm going to run through the cards very fast, and I just want you to kind of see anyone inside that pack.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready. I thought I already did it. But
you got one already?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best.
All right.
For some reason, I'm seeing a heart. Are you thinking of a heart?
I am thinking of a heart.
And it's a high card.
Yes.
Picture card?
Yes.
Jack of Hearts.
It is a Jack of Hearts.
So that's the kind of the concept of the force.
Right.
And I've always been intrigued with that force, because it does give off this feeling, nobody touched the card. And it's a force I think a lot of people are scared to do. And actually, if you combine it, like in the effect with the red-blue double backer you have an out in case the force goes wrong. So you can do this without fear. And what I mean with that is you have the red-blue double backer. If it doesn't work, if you miss the force and you actually call out a card they didn't even see, the one you tried to force on them. Basically, at that point, I have my red-blue double backer second from the bottom. I have a regular double backer I'll demonstrate with, but I don't have the red-blue handy here. It's just a regular. Where'd it go?
Because you're using the nuggets right now, I see.
Yep. So just a regular double backer. Normally it would be red on this side.
Right.
And blue. I would have this card second from the bottom. But you want the red side out. If you're using a blue deck, you want the red side facing out towards the bottom. Have your force card on top. Now you can do the force. The only tips I can give you with this force from playing with it, a lot of people think that you're dragging the whole finger across the whole entire edge. I recommend starting your finger pull at the center and getting kind of a faster kind of like pull through, as opposed to going brrrr, null, right? You have your lull there. It just sticks out like a sore thumb with that many cards.
Now, I have two quick questions at this point, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One, repeat, your force card is on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Your double backer is next to the bottom.
Second to the bottom.
Second to the bottom.
With the odd color facing out.
Okay.
Towards the face.
With the odd color facing out. Okay. And my other question is, I thought I remembered, if you're using a jack of diamonds, do you want like a 4 of diamonds on the very bottom or something like that?
You know, there's a lot of thought process on which card. I like to find a card that pops. And what I mean by pop is that a lot of people who play cards don't know the name of the shape of a spade.
Right.
They're used to hearing it as shovels, more common than spade.
Right.
Clubs, puppy dog feet, you know, silly stuff like that. They don't know the names of those, but they understand a heart,
right,
the shape of a heart and the shape of a diamond. So I'll use one of those two cards just because the shapes really resonate. Plus, I think red sticks out a little bit better. Some people think it's black. I don't know. It's personal preference, but if I'm sticking with the heart and diamond kind of concept, you're going to get a red card. I think picture cards or very low spot cards pop the most.
But I'm talking about like at the bottom, so it puts the idea in their mind before you.
There is some theory behind that. You put another diamond card on the bottom. So if your top card you're forcing is a diamond, you have another diamond that's kind of, you know, if it's a jack of diamonds on top, I'd probably put like a 3 of diamonds on the bottom, something like that.
Okay.
And just to enforce diamond. The other thing is a lot of people, to be able to do this, is you're dragging through the whole entire pack and eventually coming to the top card. I don't have the delicate sensitivity like some card guys do. Meaning like you can just do this and stop on a card. And I used to do it that way, but sometimes you would actually do 2 cards and force them the second card.
Right.
So I don't want to mess up. I'm doing professional shows. I want things to hit. So now I created kind of a lip. That top card, what I'll do is I'll move my thumb forward just a little bit, and it pulls that card up a little bit to where there's now kind of a jog. That's over exaggerated right here. That's basically what you're doing.
Right.
But your thumb will up jog it just a little bit when you're casually talking. Hey, how you doing? Would you like to help me on this miracle? Now I'm ready. So when I run through, it just automatically stops. You're going to have to get in the mirror and play with the timing.
Sure.
Some people are scared with the leaving it hang too long.
Right.
Don't be. The mind, like you understand what's going on here and it resonates differently, but to them it's going to sing differently as far as how long that card stays out there. Now, I'm not saying hang out for a while till your coffee shows up.
Right.
I'm saying, you know, give it a beat where you can just count to 1. I'll go through 1. By the time I'm done saying 1, I'm letting go. Okay. And those are just, I mean, from playing with this, you will mess up, meaning, let me rephrase that. You won't mess up, but they won't take the card. Sometimes you just get people who just will make something up. But that's why I say I want you to see a card. If I say I want you to think of a card, they're going to think of one. But if I want you to see a card, they're going, well, I need to see the cards. So That's one part of the psychology. The other part is it's what you did. This is a Vernon idea where I'm going to have you look at one, okay, Ethan? Just look at the cards as they go by really fast. Try to take one into your mind. Let me know when you're ready here.
I'm ready.
Now, you could stop there, but Vernon added a cool beat you can take advantage of at this moment. So this is what Vernon did. Ethan, I'm going to show you some cards. I want you to see one. Try to take it to your mind. You ready?
I think so. Yes.
And the first time when I asked you that, you said, well, I think I got one.
Yeah.
Oh, you already got one? So now I play this panic like, uh-oh.
Right.
You're already thinking of one?
Right.
Okay, we'll see how it works.
Right.
And then you let them run with this concept of, man, maybe something could go wrong, or it just seems so much free and fair doing the force, adding that beat to it. It doesn't seem like they're just showing them a single card in the pack at this point.
Right, right. Cool.
So some different ideas. As far as the rest of the effect goes,
yeah,
you have that double backer on the bottom. So if you actually spread the deck face down, it will all look like the same back. You miss this force. They call out, let's say I was trying to force the 7 of spades, and they call out the ace of hearts. You're thinking of the 7 of spades. They say, no, what card? Really? What card were you actually thinking about? They say the ace of hearts. Once they say no, I immediately go into milking the pack. And what that means is I'm squeezing the bottom card to the top card as I lift everything up. And then I continue to shuffle off. When I get closer to the bottom where the double backer is, I'm going to slow down and pull singles to where I eventually control that double backer to the top. While that's going on, I'm like, are you serious? You really thought of the ace? I turn the deck face up and I spread through and I locate the ace of hearts. So give me a second. I'm going to run through here. Find ace of hearts. Where are you? Here, to make this a little bit easier, let's say the ace of diamonds. You pull the card out, face up. Don't flash the back. Now you flop the pack. And as I'm saying, this is the card you named that you thought you saw, that you took in your mind. As I'm doing that, I'm getting a break under that red-blue double backer on top. And I can set it on top and tell them, that's so strange you thought of this card, because if you look, now you do a double lift. For me, it's the other side of the blue double backer. But if I had a red-blue double backer, that red side would show.
Right.
Right? So it gives you kind of an out for practicing that force. If you miss it, you still have a great effect. And if you, in the whole routine, it shows you how to exhaust that force and the red-blue double backer, because there's more to the routine than just that. It's called I choose free will. Yeah.
Well, that's the one that made me want to quit Magic right away.
You should have got something else.
Yeah, I should have gotten something else. Great. So I don't know if that answered. I hope that answered Daniel's question a little bit.
What's up, Daniel?
About the psychological force. If that's, I don't know if psychological force is a name for many different forces or one specific one.
I think more psychological force would be if you just walked up to someone, had them name a card, and you could produce that card magically. But in reality, that card is a force. It sounds like to have them name a card is free, but you're actually forcing them to pick that card. There's a lot of cool methods. Even in, I put out a trick called Threesome, and I go the psychological force approach. And there's a trick with that, but it's based on the script. It's scripting. And to try to use to get them to feel like they just thought of a card. But you have to be careful with scripting because you don't want it to be too obvious, right? You don't want them to feel like they're being pushed to think of a specific card, but you want them to feel like there's that air of freedom. So those psychological forces, I've yet to see one that's 100%. But there's some really good ones out there.
Cool. I did want to ask you a couple things because time is flying by, and I want to make sure I want to hit on a couple things.
Oh, it is, yeah.
A couple people are asking how you're feeling these days.
Yeah. Just to get you caught up to date.
Yeah.
I had my stem cell treatment. I came home. They basically were like, we need you to isolate for the entire year because after the stem cell treatment, if you get sick or fall and break a bone or do any kind of injury, the stem cells, because I got a stem cell treatment, the stem cells will actually go towards the injury and quit messing with my disease, MS. And so I've been, this quarantine's been crazy for people, but I've been in isolation and quarantining for over a year now, just because of my condition and just trying to get better. I had a moment where I came back and things were on up and it just stopped. I'm stagnant. And my doctors basically said the stem cells have done what it's supposed to do. It's slowed it down. Now I need repair, so I'm making arrangements to go back. Actually, I was making arrangements to go back until all this pandemic stuff happened and they closed the borders because I have to go out of the country. So I'm feeling good, but I've just stopped where I'm at, and I need to continue to get more stem cells to continue beating this crazy disease called MS.
Well, I mean, from me here for sure, I mean, it's great that you sound like you're feeling but okay at the time being. Just
sure.
You have to keep up this regimen, but, sounds like it's worth it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And a lot of people, when I say a lot of people, I'm referencing other people who have had this treatment with a similar or same kind of disease, MS, and it's shown to be very, very successful, but they've had to get it done at least 2, if not 3 times to get their full, back to what they were doing. I was very active. I played drums. I was on tour a lot, and when I was home, I do magic shows, use my hands, and to get to a point where my limbs just aren't the same as they were. It's frustrating, but have a lot of love and support, and it just helps me get through everything, and magic constantly takes me to a happy place.
I mean, and we're so happy that you're here and part of the community. And, I'm getting better at not sounding so cheesy with the segues, but it's not working today. My question, Mike, I do have another question about touring in a touring band when you're a magician.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest tour you've ever been on?
Out for a couple months, and then, you come home for like maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then you're out again. The biggest one I was on was there's a band. It was an arena tour. And so we've never done arenas. We've done big theaters and small bars and small theaters, but never done the arena. So it was like getting to play. Festivals are fun because you can play anywhere from 30 to 50,000 people at a time. But these arenas every night were, 20 to 40,000 people every night consistently. It was just like, whoa, this is crazy. And as far as magic went, it was just ample. Like, there was tons of magic, for the simple fact that part of the way my band would get paid is through merch sales. So I went corporate magician on it. How do you keep people at your merch booth?
Right.
You do some magic.
Right.
And there's no bands out there with a merch guy busting magic. So I would create a ruckus. So much so at one time we were asked to, like, we had to get security, form a line because it was so chaotic. but it was the magic. It wasn't even the band.
Right.
So I had ample amounts of people do magic. You know, people come up and you could play games like, you shuffle the deck, I'll find all 4 aces. If I don't, free t-shirts.
Right.
And at the end of it, I would find all 4, but they would just love the experience, and they would get a t-shirt and have fun and see some magic. As far as practicing on the road, it was easy because a majority of the time when you're on the road is exactly that. You're sitting and you're riding to your next destination. So I had plenty of time to read. I guess you have to get past the fact of reading in a car or a vehicle can be kind of difficult. But yeah, I mean, I spent the majority of the time sitting inside our bus we were touring in than, you know, anywhere else, because we'd be at the venue for like 6 to 8 hours, but it would take like 12 hours to get to the next location. So there's plenty of times to practice. I would just sit and, you know, I had a small close-up mat, and Dean Dill at the time, when Dean's awesome, he's no longer around, but Dean's mats had a hard surface, so you could just set them on your lap without the mat folding in on you. And I toured with that and had ample amount of audience people to test tricks on, and just had some fun.
So with magic and playing the drums, I see 2 skills that you have to practice.
Sure.
And never stop practicing. And I see things that you have to do to almost get to a spot where you don't think about them at all and you just do them.
You want to let that muscle memory kick in.
Yeah. And that's where I was like talking with Danny about his meditation. To me, it seems like just a different form of meditation, because you reach this neo-like, level with both things.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's hard enough for anyone to get to one of those, but you seem to have gotten to 2 of them. And
I don't know about that.
Well, when you see it, you do, specifically in magic. And, I've seen the videos of drumming online, and it looks like you get there to me. And remember, I worked in a store where people came in and played the drums horribly all the time. So I think I know what a good one looks like.
Awesome.
So
thank you.
You're getting a bunch of well wishes in the chat. So, but I guess there's nothing else to say about the correlation. I guess it just takes practice of both things.
I love the idea of being able to, when over here is, I don't want to say burnt out, but I can give it a break and jump over here and do that. And then I can give it a break. I always had these 2 outlets to jump back and forth. And Vernon spoke about things of this sort. You should definitely have something else, you could jump to give your attention to. And even if it's stamp collecting, whatever it is, focus your zen someplace else. And I think it kind of keeps the other thing recharged every time you come back to it. You're just like, you have this good feeling. There's none of this like stale feeling towards your magic because I had a break. Even if it's like a day, if it's like 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. Find your break, but let it be something else creative. If anything, you can only do nothing but, learn from it and maybe apply it even to your magic.
Well, I wish you would talk to my son. He's trying to learn the ukulele. He'll get on one thing, and then he'll play it for 4 hours. The next day won't want to play. Like, why don't you play an hour a day, whether you get it or not? You'll come back and you'll be, you'll
you need to get a band together with them.
I mean, I work alone.
Doesn't work well with others.
Yeah, man, that's time for us. I really appreciate you coming by.
Cool. Yeah, anytime.
You should do it again. We should get you on Wednesday night again at some point.
Let me know.
And everyone's saying hi. Chris is saying hi. Newell's saying hi. Scott is saying hi. Jonathan is saying hi.
Awesome. Everybody's awesome. Newell is a legend. Thank you for showing up and just hanging out. And all my friends, Chris, everybody, hello. It's good to see everyone, or at least talk to you.
And I mean, that's it, man. Have a good weekend. Have a, be safe. Keep staying home. Wash
you
your
guys.
hands, don't touch your face.
You as well.
Play with the cats like I'm going to do here. And
that's right.
And I don't know who's going to be here next Friday, everybody, but I'll figure it out. If not, I'll call Jason again.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was good to talk to you too.
All right, sir. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye.